There we are. Grace and Earl, welcome to the latest episode of the Phyllis in Devotion podcast, brought to you by the fine folks at the Fat Boar. We have Rhys is back from, it feels like forever, mate. It's the first time we've been doing one of these.
I know.
I thought I'd put you off for some reason. We've got Tim, of course, the stalwart, and Mr. Andrew Gilpin, who's returned down south from a trip back up north over the weekend. We should plug the newsletter first and foremost, which one of you fine fellas can hop onto that.
Yeah. Oh God, I haven't got the screen ready.
Every time, mate. Every week.
You caught me on the hop here.
It's always at the beginning every week. Even I know
Who'd
that.
have
And I'm an
thought
amateur.
you'd have been asked about it?
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, going up to it's quite good. Move on.
Yeah,
Why do you need a spiel, Andy? Just you deliver it.
Yeah,
he's already on. Gilpin's already on the clock. Sack it off. Next item.
Next item, right? I guess the next item is to get into the big item. First game in the League One season, our first game in League One for 19 years, 19 seasons. A fantastic performance, I thought. 3-2 win at home against Wycombe Wanderers. We'll come to you in a second, Rhys, and you, Andy, as well. But Tim, you were there on the ground. What were your big takeaways in terms of? Because to me, going into this, I thought Wycombe would be a very good test and a good kind of barometer to where we could hope to be and where we should be expecting to be. What do you take away from this game then, first and foremost, the big takeaways?
The big takeaway for me was what was all the panic about we haven't signed a striker. That's the main thing. It's easy for us to sit here now, but ultimately we scored 3 goals, at home, first game of the season against a fairly well-drilled side. Let's be honest, Wycombe were no mugs. They had their chances. It caused us problems, especially towards the end of that first half, deep into stoppage time. Hit the woodwork a couple of times. But for me, it was just, we look well-drilled and we look well-organised, and the whole onus on getting that tour done and dusted a good week to 10 days well in advance of the season start was a massive, massive bonus. I think we just looked really, really good, just passed it around very, very, very confidently, and just everything about yesterday was great. The weather was great, the atmosphere was brilliant. Obviously the owners were in town with Eva Longoria in tow. Lovely minutes applause for Arthur Massey, we sadly lost a few days ago. That was amazing. Obviously lost a lot of people over the summer, but yeah, I mean, obviously he touched a lot of people's hearts by the documentary and beyond that. So yeah, thoughts with his family and friends. Obviously, difficult time, but yeah, that was so nice. I think Ryan was caught with a couple of tears in his eye, understandably. So, but yeah, overall, I just, yeah, it was a good test. But I think we need to kind of, I personally think we need to dispense with this idea, and I'll keep going on about it, that all this consolidation malarkey. We are a good team. We've got a good squad. The depth is there for all to see. And the quality of the goals, at least 2 of the goals yesterday was just unbelievable. And for Max to get on the score sheet opening goal on his 100th appearance of the club, he's only just turned 22, gets a sneaky little side-footed opening finish. Just what a player. And we'll come to Dobson in a minute, but 5,000th game, what a way to mark it.
Yeah, I think Max and it's quite high praise. I think that could well have been his best overall performance. I thought from the first whistle to the final whistle, it was just excellent. There was so many great performances across the board. I thought he was one of the true standouts. Now, Rhys, you were watching it from home. There's the new plan in place at the moment with Sky, where so many games are available from League One, League Two, the Championship to be screened. What's the experience like from that side of things? And is there anything there you think we might have missed in the game that obviously you get the better vantage point of from being at home?
Maybe. I mean, first of all, good to be back. Hi, everyone.
Yes.
Sorry for being gone a while. Turns out having a child is hard.
Liam never mentions it.
Liam never mentions it, does he? No. Yeah. But yeah, good to be back. Great to start off with a win. I thought the coverage was good. Commentary was good. I enjoyed it. There's a lot of controversy, obviously, about the deal that's been done and what it means for sort of football on telly in the longer terms. Even if it might be the death of football, it'd be the rebirth of my finances, because I can go over my dad's to watch it rather than spend as much money as I usually do on iFollow. But yeah, I just kept thinking back to the MK Dons game last year, and how much of a rude awakening that was. I think, we were all sat in the stands there, sort of shell-shocked, 2-0 down after 12 minutes, whatever it was. And I think we were 4-1 down at one stage. Just everyone was like, oh, God, we're not ready for League Two at all. And this felt like anything but, really, didn't it? There were a couple of shaky moments, and obviously it's never nice to be holding on like that at the end. That was probably a bit unnecessary. But most of the problems I thought that we had were self-inflicted. Quite a few mistakes, which you'd expect. First game of the season, we got 3 points. That's all that matters. Thought Dobson was class, as has been mentioned. Thought Marriott was quality as well, actually. And, he showed flashes of it last year, but never really got a chance to do it. It'd be great to see. I'm looking forward to him. I'm really chuffed he scored a goal, and obviously such a good goal. It'd be great to see whether he can sort of really put a give Mullin some challenge for that shirt, really. Because if he scores 4 or 5 goals in the first month, then do you drop him? What do you do? So hopefully he can keep the goals coming.
Yeah.
How do you top that? How do you top that for goal of the season already? I mean, I watched it back. Obviously, we all watched it back dozens of times, but watched it back, slowed it down a bit, and if you watch Marriott, he actually sort of gestures to Palmer where to put the ball with his hands. Like it's just like just try and chest it into this path. Obviously, Palmer does the little flick similar to what he did for the winner at I think Crawley was it last year. He sort of flicked it on the outside of his boot, and yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, talk about setting the bar high for a goal of the season contender. That's outrageous.
I mean, I'll just do it on the left foot next time. That's the way to top it. Nice and simple, cultured left peg. Yeah, with yourself, Andy, you were there enjoying a few scoops at the Mice win pre-match after a slightly heavy Friday night by all accounts. We're blaming it down to Roger from Many Blazers, if he's listening, Rog. Were you surprised that, obviously, we touched on George Dobson, who was, in the nicest possible way, a proper busy bastard. It was great. It was great to see. Were you surprised that that was the only new addition that started? Because the rest of the team is pretty much the same as what we ended the season with. Obviously, apart from Mullin.
Parky does this, so Parky will get a new signing and put him on the bench for a while. I think Dobson is too good and too integral to what he wants to do with this midfield that he was never going to do that with him. I think he's the sort of marquee signing that Parkinson really wanted to build a team around. And it was interesting to see how Dobson worked, because he was at the base of the three for much of the game. He bossed it. He sort of set the pace for the closing down. And I thought for the first 40 minutes, we were fantastic. Like, Wycombe didn't have a kick. Yeah, they really came on to us later. But I think maybe that's because first game of the season, it was a hot day. You can't keep up that level of sort of, that level of sort of just tracking. And I just think Wrexham, from all being directed by Dobson, did that perfectly as a midfield three. It was interesting what he did when it became apparent that Wycombe were getting a foothold in it. He brought Evans on and he slightly moved Dobson to the right-hand side. And again, that worked. I wonder if he's going to do more and more of that away from home, have sort of the double sort of base of those two. I think Evans, when he came on, was a little bit rusty at the start, but then got his sort of passing and move going. Just a word on Max. Look, yeah, I think we've all said it. He was by far, I think, our best player. I think he just pipped Dobson to it. Marriott had a good game as well and a fantastic goal, but that's an eye-catching sort of finish, isn't it? I think that was always going to try and get the man of the match. But what I thought about Max was when Sam Vokes came on, they stood Sam Vokes right next to Max and thought that they could get change out of him. And 2 years ago, Max would have crumbled a little bit under having such an experienced burly striker next to him. Yesterday, he won 3 or 4 key headers, one after another. He out-muscled Vokes a few times, and that is a sign of a maturing defender who knows what he has to do in the team and isn't the weak link as he might have been a couple of years ago. We all know he's good on the ball. We all know he's an excellent defender, but he had to bring that muscle to his game, and I think he is now. And really and truly, we have got an absolute little star there. We really have. But
have you been sharing your training program with him, Andy?
Yeah, well, I don't like to,
Little star, Serenbach. That's beautiful.
I think I said this to the lad that one of the lads I sit next to, was what pleased me the most with Max was a lot of the stuff he did that was like proper dirty centre half stuff. Like you said, winning headers that maybe he wouldn't have won before, just getting in front of people, more aggression to it. And I just thought he was absolutely brilliant. And yeah, like I said, a little star in waiting. And I thought as well, Ryan Barnett first half, I don't know if that was because he was playing on my half of the pitch, my side of the pitch. I thought he really impressed. And was there anybody, just to put open to the three of you, anybody that impressed you in terms of, again, it's only one game in League One, but is there anybody that impressed you where you thought they might struggle with this level? But it's like because I thought Barney, because we got him from the National League, to put Barney to League One first game as one game goes, I thought he was great.
Yeah,
Barney's a good shout. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Andy, go on.
No. The only person I was going to sort of thinking, you look about what he signed in midfield, and he's broken the club record for Oliver Rathbone. And to be honest, if you break the club record for someone, you're not going to leave them on the bench. So he's trying to think, where's he going to fit him into that? And I do wonder if, certainly at home, he's looking at Dobson, Lee, and Rathbone as the three. So maybe Andy Cannon might be a little vulnerable there. And he's a great player to bring on because he does get the ball and break the lines. He runs with it. But I think with Rathbone, you've got something of everything by all accounts. He's a box-to-box player. He can defend a little bit. He pops up in the box. He's not prolific, but he gets there. He's full of energy. He will help that press, I think, that Dobson was trying to get going yesterday. And I wonder if that's the sort of the three he will settle on as a first choice. And that's not to say that Cannon hasn't been fantastic for us, but I feel he's the player who may be vulnerable by the new signing.
Yeah, obviously, Andy Cannon as well signing new, was it a new 2-year deal to 2026, I believe it is, through till which I think that's a statement of intent from the club where, yes, we're bringing in these midfielders, but we very much see you as part of, you're going to be involved, whether it's starting every week or whether it's not. Now, I've got the agenda here that I'm looking at Tim's meticulously put together, and there's a statement that jumps out on this that I can't skip over and go to another point. Is Dobson prime Darren Ferguson? Like, that's a bold statement after one game, Tim. Hyperbole all over the place, spewing it everywhere.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was just getting excited when I was writing the agenda, but I can understand why Charlton Athletic fans were so unhappy to lose him in the end. He's just, and the reason I make the Fergie comparison is primarily because he's kind of got that all-action midfielder feel about him. He breaks at play so well. Some of his passing, it was just a joy to watch. You know, he's never. I can't remember who I was speaking to about it the other day, but was it Humphrey? It actually was Humphrey at the live event, and he said that, you know, where a pass might be on, and like maybe previous midfielders would have opted for that pass, Dobson will go, well, that pass is on, but I'm going to see if there's anything else just right this split second, see if there's anything better than that pass. So he's always looking for a better option than what's on straight away, rather than just taking the obvious and easy route. So I just think we're already seeing what we're getting with him, and yeah, an absolute embarrassment of riches in midfield, to be honest.
I think he just needs a slightly bigger arse to fill the Fergie role and slightly less pace.
You're being fattest now. We're not.
No. That was all part of Fergie's thing. Was he'd get his arse into people, which sounds a sentence I didn't think I'd be saying today, but it's been said now anyway. Yeah, it's a high bar.
A wagon ass, as our
wagon ass
would say, as
yeah.
Michael Stanley would say, wagon ass. Yeah.
Same as Lee Trundle, loved it. Tron still does to this day. Eva Longoria was there. That was touched on earlier. That was a bit of a strange one for me. I didn't really give a toss at all. I didn't realize she was there till after the game, but because I got there late from my squint stuff, I didn't even know the owners were at the game until the final whistle. Like, oh, there they are. And who's that woman? Oh, it's Eva Longoria. Is this another case of it just being the strange thing now is that this isn't strange? It's just like, all right, yeah, she was at the game. Like whenever it was, Will Ferrell was first at a game, and I remember getting a picture. Someone texted me a picture of him in the turf, and it was just like, all right, and it's like it is what it is. It's a norm.
I think this is the
Mexican deal. This is the Mexican deal. Yeah.
Right.
So if she's filming a documentary as well, this is a good first episode of that, isn't it? You know, she come over on a fact-finding mission to Wrexham to find out how Ryan and Rob did it. Ryan and Rob are there. I mean, so many stars there yesterday.
Sorry, she bought a Mexican football club.
Sorry?
Stephen Longoria bought a Mexican football club.
Yeah, Necaxa. How long have you been away?
I've been living in a cave, mate. Fair enough. Oh, wow. Oh, that would make sense then, yeah.
Yeah, so she's part of this consortium that's bought Necaxa, who now own 5% of us, and vice versa. to sort of develop the game over in Mexico. There's
Yeah.
there's whispers that we'll be in Mexico next pre-season. I don't know how true that is, but it all seems to link together, and that's why I think that was quite a natural thing for her to come over. But as I said, look, how many stars were there yesterday? And like I didn't know they were there until the end of the match. It's like it's not a huge thing anymore. It's not a huge thing that Ryan Reynolds has got the biggest movie in the world at the moment, happened to be in Wrexham, and we didn't even notice him because I'm too busy looking at George Dobson and with hearts in my eyes. You know, that's just where we are at the moment. Great, isn't it?
The fan zone seems to have gone down. Obviously, there was a hot talking point going into the season. I believe the Phillips event last Thursday at the Mice Gwyn, Humphrey even said it was essentially a mistake to call it a fan zone, and they maybe dropped a bit of bollock there in the marketing of it. But by all accounts, it seems to have gone down well. Obviously, I did not experience that myself. I was in the Mole Road, and I did get there only about 10 minutes before kickoff. But what are the thoughts that you're hearing, the feedback you're hearing so far?
I've got review. So Nat, who was the 300th newsletter subscriber, so I gave her a little sort of gift basket, and she went into the fan zone, and then she sent me a review after. Fan zone, good selection, price is okay. It closed once the game started, so all the early halftime drinkers had to queue up for 10-15 minutes before it opened again. The new CEO was there, and Mullin and Rathbone as well. They were doing signings. She said I would buy a fan zone ticket again. She's given me a few pictures of it. They had games for kids, shop outlets, face painting, small accessories. The main thing, they can tweak it. Can it be open all through the game? But she said, as an experience, she thought it was really good. And this sort of backs up what Humphrey was saying at the live event, where he sort of says, look, don't think of it as a fan zone. Think of it more as hospitality. You're paying £10 for extra hospitality. It's a way that the club can do, like what Premier League clubs like Spurs, they want to get you in that stadium 1 or 2 hours before the game, and they want you spending all their money there. Now, Wrexham could never do that due to the sort of how small our stands were, and it's not like a place you can really go and sit like Coventry. Remember that? We were there for an hour before. It was quite good to stay there and chat with people and have a few beers before the match started. So this is their opportunity to do that, to get an area where they can keep fans happy and, more importantly, take their money off them, which is fine, because that moves from taking £22 out from a match ticket to taking 30-40 from a few drinks before the games and some food, because you know what you're going to get there. So look, as I said a couple of weeks ago, I sort of admire this a little bit. I think it's I'm not happy about it, but I do think it's probably a clever move in the long run.
I'll be there for the Reading game in 2 weeks' time, so I can give you all a full review straight from the horse's mouth then.
Are you going to get the face paint as well? When I think face paint, I think Young Kenny and Phoenix Knights and like Sammy the Snake. But yeah, you should go the full face paint route.
Well, I hear kids entertainment. What about the adult entertainment? That's what I want to know.
That's a different topic altogether. We're talking adult entertainment on a match day.
Yeah, the strippers didn't get there till after 6, mate. Unfortunately,
I'll be on the train home by then. Fine, okay.
With 3 of them. Tim, while we're hearing good things about the fan zone, yourself being in the tech end, I believe it was a bit hectic in there queue wise.
Yeah, it is chaos and carnage, and I know it's essentially like a long shoebox, so you've only got so much space to work with. We all know that we've upgraded the facilities and the way it looks, and they're trying to get people to sort of turn over the orders as soon as they can. But basically, you've got a pinch point. You've got the main thing in the middle, and you've got 2 queues stemming from either end, and some of those queues double back themselves. I've seen people down there go down 10-15 minutes before the end of the first half, and they're still there 10-15 minutes into the start of the second half. That's crazy. That's a long wait for whatever you're going to get. I mean, you're missing the third match. So I think that question, one of those questions, was mentioned to Humphrey at the live event, and he said that basically we are inhibited by the lack of space. But I've spoken to a few people about it. How can they look to address that? Do they potentially close half the smoking area off at half time, which is obviously outside, and then have a bit where they can have maybe a few extra sellers, the Ghostbusters with the packs on, with the beer and all that, something. I don't know. It's a bit of a yeah, it's a quandary for them to sort out. It really is, because you know you can compare that with I dare say some people in the tech end will go, well, I'll pay an extra tenner if it means I'm going to get served quicker and I've got more option.
Well, in that case, they will, and that might become an option. I mean, I don't know how viable that whole thing is when it's December and it's freezing and it's pissing down. But at the moment, in the summer, you've got to make hay of it. Look, I understand, like, Michael Williamson's come in, he knows how to squeeze money out of stadiums, and he's looking at what he has at Wrexham thinking, there's not a lot I can do here. A lot of the queues are at the mercy of however 14, 15-year-olds they put, 4 of them put into Marriott. It's a hell of a lot to put on.
I think Simon Cook bumped into him earlier on. He said, well, as was the case for like the Stereophonics and Kings of Leon gigs, they have like a tent further out around the side. So why can't something like that be utilised potentially for, additional sort of spaces, catering facilities to cater for the amount of fans? Maybe you could serve both of those then. You've got Tech and Wrexham Lagerstand. You could serve both those at least. There's a bit more room in Mold Road, but no doubt it probably has its own issues. So
that's a really good idea, actually. I've not even thought of that, because it was at the Kings of Leon. I went to the very first Stereophonics concert, and it was just kind of, you got funneled up by the steps by the away end now, and it goes into the car park where there's a big tent, where there's loos for the gents and the ladies. I did see some lady coming in and squatting in the gents in the corner, which was like, that was a come on. This is why we don't get nice things. But anyway, we have got a guest coming on shortly, so obviously there's a lot to talk about with the live event from last week, but I think we'll probably, with our guest imminent, it's probably best to talk about that after they've been and gone. Just a quick one, and I guess a little topic we can talk about in the meantime. John Davies loaned out to Grimsby, which is, I don't know, for me, it's going to be
season long.
Yeah, season on loan to Grimsby. I believe his contract's up at the end of next season as well. So, I mean, this was a topic that came up at the weekend to Mark Harrington and Paul Rutherford, who used to play with Jordan. They saw it more as an opportunity for him to go away and earn himself another Wrexham deal. The other way to look at that is that is it more likely that, when that deal's up, he's now playing to earn himself a move somewhere, whether that is Grimsby or another club in Press Suitors. Do we think this is the end for John Davies at Wrexham?
Can I be honest? Yes.
Please do. Oof.
Yeah, I do, and it's sad, but he signed so many midfielders. It's going to be hard for Jordan to get back in. The only way I can really see it is A, there's an injury crisis for us, and B, he's gone to Grimsby and he scored 8 in 12, and we get the old Jordan back full of confidence. Then I can see a recall. But those two things have to happen, and I just don't see them happening, to be honest. Rhys, what do you think?
Well, I was just going to say that starting midfield 3, that I agree with you, is probably what's going to end up being Parky starting midfield 3. Doesn't have space in it for George Evans, for Cannon, for possibly McLean if Mendy's coming back, and James Jones. Unfortunately, Jordan is below all of them at the moment. In terms of Jones is above him, for example, in terms of a spot on the pitch. I think James Jones is going to struggle to get anywhere near the pitch this year, sadly. But who knows? Obviously, anything can happen. But yeah, as Andy says, I agree that there is a possibility, absolutely, that he goes there and he scores 20 goals. We don't get promoted and we're still in League One and there's space in the squad for next season. I think the far more likely scenario is that, he goes there, hopefully does really well and either stays or gets another deal somewhere else in the Football League.
Yeah, and you think with Grimsby, it's not the sort of loan move you go to where I'm going to commute there every day. It's like, no, you're going to have to uproot to there. So maybe he gets settled there, and maybe he does impress, and maybe we do offer him a new deal, and he just goes like, well, no, I've settled down now in
Jordan needs to play. Jordan knows he needs to play, right? And he can't be a bit part player at his age. And if he wants to make the most of his career, he knows he needs to go somewhere fresh now and really have the team molded around him like it was for us in the National League, but it isn't anymore.
Someone who in the National League, where Rob Page very openly said, like, look, we're interested. We can't really be seen to have a National League player in the Welsh setup. And then now you skip forward where, okay, he's no longer a National League player, but because of last season, he was so in and out. Well, it wasn't even in and out. He was mainly out last season. That that's not even a topic of conversation now. Tim, have you got anything to add on Jordan? Do you think this is the last we've seen him in the Wrexham shirt?
Yeah, I mean, you've seen which players have been offered contract extensions in that midfield. He's not one of them, sadly. It's a case of what could have been. It's kind of how it feels. Obviously, we had that wonderful season under the first year of the ownership. And it's just kind of conspired against him. Obviously, he come on for Grimsby yesterday, got a yellow card soon after, so he's obviously trying to make a bit of an impression up there. But I mean, we'd all love him. We'd all love him to really hit the ground with Grimsby and then come back and force his way back in. And stranger things have happened, but I think it will take something extraordinary for him to do that. He's going to have to recapture that form of a couple of years ago, at the very least. But I'm not sure what sort of Grimsby team are around him. But he's got good people in there with Dave Artell and Sean Pearson. They'll want to get the best out of him. Their leadership people, they're really going to get into his ear and say, look, let's work this out. What will be. If he does really well for them, he'll either move there or get a good move somewhere else. So we all wish him well. We all want him to do well. There's no doubt about that, is there? So so he's one of the few people that I kept an eye on yesterday. I think Luke Nicholas was another one out on loan who's kept a clean sheet for Rochdale yesterday. He sort of came out with a fair bit of credit, and then I think Tozer played down for West Green, and Hayden started for Carlisle. So there's a few faces doing the rounds yesterday. But kudos to Nicholas on a clean sheet, and obviously Jordan getting some minutes. But I think it's fair to say his time at Wrexham you kind of feel is done now.
Yeah, it kind of really hit home yesterday to see James McLean's wearing number 7, and it's where that just got, and it was one of those where it felt like a very hard reset the squad, just in terms of the basics of squad numbers. Where what was Tom O'Connor? Was he 6? I'm trying to think what it was now. Yeah, where it was just all the numbers had changed to it's almost like if you were playing Championship Manager back in the day, and it's right, no, I'm done with you, so you're now my number 4, you're 27, and you can leave the club. And it was just seeing James McLean with the 7. It's right, okay, so that is Jord.
He's the last one of the signings that never came into Parky, isn't he? Jordan, I believe, is the last long.
Oh yeah,
because it was Dean Keats brought him back.
Yeah, every player in that squad now is a Parky signing. So
one last thing I was going to say was, there's great for Jordan that Sean Pearson is there at Grimsby. Obviously, they know each other, but I can't think of any better sort of grounded people that will help him sort of hopefully reconnect with his best and sort of get him right off the pitch and get him settled up there so that he can go and be the player that we all know he can be. So best of luck to him.
Yeah,
our guest is just updating his Zoom. I've just been reliably informed. So we can go on addressing a few of the bits on the agenda.
What about Rathbone? This is an interesting one. So we actually got a bit of a taster of it during the live night where Humphrey was trying to hide his Apple phone because it kept going off with contract news. I tried,
but
we all tried.
And I was like, oh,
we did that. You seen that over there, Humphrey? But it wasn't happening. Look, when I first saw the signing, I was just a bit meh. I just thought, do we need another centre mid? Probably not. Is this the person we want to break our transfer record for? I don't know. I'd rather do it up front. But the more I've looked into it, we talked to Kara about it. Mark Carrington yesterday, who knows a bit about him, says he's a very, very good player. He was an ever-present almost in the Rotherham team in the Championship last season. A lot of their fans didn't want him to go. And from what I've heard, he's a proper box-to-box player. He will run up and down, or he's got boundless energy. It's sort of letting me sort of think how our midfield will tick this season. And I can see a Dobson, Rathbone and Lee. And to be honest, all 3 of those are so full of running and there's a threat everywhere. So I do sort of think this is maybe what Parky wants to bring in, this sort of new dynamicism. And I've always said that, you can say whatever you want about Parky, but he's a pragmatist. He will look about how to set up in League One to get out of it.
Dynamicism.
Sorry?
Dynamicism. What's that?
Dynamism. Whatever that is.
Is that a magician? No.
Can you hear me okay?
Hey.
Hey, James.
Oh yeah, we have our guests arrived. Right. So from the Lion of Vienna podcast, James Jarvis. James, cheers for giving us some time to come and join us at Fields and Devotion. How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you
Yes.
good, mate. We can hear you.
Okay,
We can
good,
see
good.
you. Looking good. Sounding good.
Can you hear us?
Right.
That's the key thing.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's should be fun.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Bolton, Wrexham, next weekend, next Sunday. What I guess obviously Bolton had the disappointment last season. How are you feeling at the moment in terms of bouncing back? I mean, the first game you beat Lincoln 2-1. You've made some decent signings. John McAtee, who we were kind of hoping were coming towards us. Scott Arfield, another one. I think that's a really smart signing. So, what's the general vibe at the moment of Bolton, and what are your realistic expectations for this season?
Well, going into first game, I think we were all hoping that we'd win. The performance itself wasn't actually the most convincing, but sometimes you just got to win games like that. And certain games like that last season, we probably would have lost from not taking our chances. We took our chances this time, and yeah, that's all you can ask for. A win's a win at the end of the day, so you can't complain about that. I know that we can definitely play a lot better than we did. Some of the signings that you've mentioned, John McAtee, he looked very impressive when he came off the bench.
Didn't need to hear that, mate. I wanted to hear the stinker. Yeah, gutted we didn't get him.
Yeah, he's a little bulldog. Really should have had an assist, but Dion Charles whiffed his chance. But yeah, I will probably see more of him in the cup match against Mansfield on Tuesday. But as of just from the little cameo that we've had and from what we know about him from when we faced him at Barnsley about 10 different times over the past 2 seasons. God, we've played Barnsley so much. Yeah, he looks a very, very exciting prospect to that front line, which has been incredibly extra reinforced this season.
Extra reinforced, not just reinforced, extra reinforced. It's like double hard super glue. Phil Parkinson, obviously our manager, formerly your manager. I've got a few mates in work who are Sunderland fans, and they cannot stand Parky. They've got nothing good to say about him. I've got a few friends who are Bradford fans who absolutely adore him. Where does Bolton sit in that, and what sort of reaction should we expect Parky to get?
I'd say overall you get more people saying good things about him than bad things. We'll go on to the bad first because during his time with us, if we're being totally honest, his style of play was really difficult to watch sometimes. That might have been in part due to the resource he was offered. Practically every single transfer that he was allowed to bring in was either a free or a loanee from elsewhere. So he was probably quite hamstrung in what he wanted to play, because I've noticed from a few bits of Wrexham that I've seen, he seems to have a bit more flair in the side than he had with us. But overall, I think a lot more people find something good about him because he was manager in a very, very tumultuous period, shall we say, when we were owned by, quite frankly, a parasite who asset stripped our club to oblivion, near oblivion, I should say. And he always conducts himself with, the kind of grace that we've obviously seen in the Welcome to Wrexham show itself. He's no one will have a bad word to say about him as a person. You can maybe criticize his tactics for us being a bit, I hate to use the word, but a bit prehistoric, shall we say, according to some fans. But overall, he won us promotion from League One first time of asking, and he helped keep us up in dramatic fashion on the final day on our return to the Championship. And those are the kind of memories you don't really lose a fan, even if the entire period he managed under was kind of horrible to sit through as a fan.
Oh, mate, we've been there with the parasite owners and the dull football and the managers that have got no resources. So I think there's a bit of a kindred spirit there with Bolton and Wrexham. Having been in League One, what's realistically, when you look at it, what do we need to do to get out of this league? Like, how tough is it to get out of the league?
Well, let's put it this way. I can't think of very many clubs in recent years who have either come back down and shot straight back up, or that have got promoted and got on to do it again. I think only in recent memory I can recall Wolves and Luton obviously doing the double promotion in like the past 10 years. It's a really difficult league to get out of. Sheffield Wednesday found it tough. Sunderland had about 5 years in it. Derby 2. Portsmouth, God knows how many years, although obviously different circumstances. But it's an incredibly tough league to get out of. And one bad game, as you probably saw with Bolton at Wembley against Oxford, can really, really kill you, especially as that being a season when we were hoping to get promoted automatically. But yeah, it's a painful league. Hopefully we'll go one step further this time, and there's no denying that's been the aim, although with the likes of Birmingham, Huddersfield and League One promotion specialists Rotherham coming down, we'll probably be a bit more quieter about our ambition overall, at least publicly. But I think there's hope especially with the recent signs we made before the game began with Matete, McAtee and Ose Tutu, along with Schön, that we've really got a lot more depth to handle even when we go through crises like we went through last season.
Yeah. I kind of, I mean, a Bolton fan, I just want to talk about JJ Okocha and Gary Speed and Stelios and John McCarthy and yeah, all these players. But what's the general kind of vibe at Bolton towards Wrexham? Because obviously we've been totally out of your orbit for decades, really, and just happened to be crossing paths this season.
Yeah, I don't think we've played maybe since the early 90s or 80s. I think it's something like that, even before I was born. So, yeah, that tells you how long it's been. But I think it all depends who you ask. You know, some people just aren't fans of the quote unquote Hollywood vibe, Wrexham exhibit. I've definitely heard some people say that the circus is coming to town about it, which is harsh because I genuinely don't have anything against Wrexham. If anything, I have a bit of affinity because I like Phil Parkinson. I do like Phil Parkinson, so I'm glad to see him doing well after Sunderland. Not the biggest fan of Sean Harvey, but that's a whole other thing that I really don't want to get into.
So some Wrexham fans aren't, to be honest. He's an opinion splitting figure, is Mr. Harvey.
What about Sam Ricketts? Blast from the past.
He was fine. That's the best I can say. He was fine as a player for us. I don't think anyone will have anything bad to say about him, but no one will immediately sing his praises either.
I suppose in terms of levels, that was fine as a Premier League player for however many years, for whatever he did, 6, 7, 8 years. So that's quite a high level. But yeah, that's something that's not opinion splitting, as most Wrexham fans have no time for Sam Ricketts, unfortunately. Yeah, after he took the manager's job and then binned us off to go to Shrewsbury, one of our rivals just down the road. So
I bet you're looking forward to that game.
No, well, that was a few years ago. He's now no longer even in football. Is it? You might know, Tim. Was it horses he was in or something?
Well, his family have got a history of equestrianism and so on and so forth. But I think he's working for his father-in-law's company.
Builder's merchant. Yeah, he's a builder's merchant.
Right.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But yeah, there we are.
Oh.
You mentioned Sammy the Snake earlier on as well. How ironic.
Sammy the Snake. Sammy. Yeah, I did actually. Yeah. That was in the Phoenix Nights context.
Very Bolton-based reference. I like it.
Oh yeah. All about that Phoenix Nights. Chorley FM coming in your ears, or where the listener comes first. I think we're going to radio voice mode then. Jeez. A slightly more serious topic. Bolton recently is one of the places that's been caught up in the riots. Is that kind of calmed down now? Is it a bit more? I guess, can Wrexham fans be reassured of their safety? Are things okay over there?
Well, I don't actually live in Bolton, so I can't say for sure. But I've not really heard anything that bad. I don't even think Bolton was that badly hit by the riots, from what I remember. So, yeah, I don't think you'll have any trouble.
Yeah,
as long as nothing happens in the days that we're recording this.
Yeah, that's Phil Parkinson does a diss track slamming all the Bolton fans and just causes chaos or something. But on another serious topic, boozers. Where would be good for Wrexham fans to go as away fans? Any places you'd recommend? Not necessarily boozers. Maybe people might want to get food, but yeah, where's the kind of places to go in Bolton on a pre-match?
I'm going to be honest, you're asking the wrong person because I don't really drink that much.
Where would you go for a J2O? Where would you go for a J2O or a pie? I'm sure there's a few places around, but again, you're asking the
wrong person. We are next to the Middlebrook shopping centre, so maybe you can nip into the shops and get something. But there's plenty of food places around there. There's the right when you leave Horwich train station, which is literally right next to the ground. There's a Weatherspoons there knocking about, and there's a few places because Bolton Town Centre is not very far away itself, to be honest, as well. So
talk to me about this
I'm sure you
shopping
won't struggle.
centre. Talk to me about this shopping centre. What's in
Rhys-
it? Has it got an M&S Simply Food?
Rhys wants some new gear.
Has it got an M&S?
No, it's got an Asda. It's got an Asda.
Oh, fine.
But yeah,
George.
if you're looking for food places, obviously there's plenty like KFC, McDonald's, Nando's. I think there's a Pizza Express there as well, something like that. So you won't be short of options.
The Holy Trinity.
I'm going
Sounds
out.
good.
I'm going out in Bolton the night before.
Oh yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
now.
Are you you going to park yourself in that M&S food? No, I'm going up. I'm going up Saturday. My mate Joey's from Bolton, so we're going to stay in a travel lodge and we're going to go out in Bolton. So
And making a weekend of
Bolton
it.
Joey?
Nice.
yeah,
Bolton's not that bad a night out, to be honest. Obviously, it's no Manchester, but you'll have fun.
yeah. We don't want to go to Manchester. We are staying in Bolton. Joey's going to give us a shit pub tour. So I'm looking forward to that. What could go wrong? Could go wrong?
With you in tow, mate, there's so many things, so many variables there.
You should have got Joey on the show for this section.
James, we don't want to keep you too long. But what's realistically the expectations for Sunday from yourselves from Bolton? Is it I don't know, are you thinking it's going to be a nice cushy win, a tough game, a draw? Have you got like a score prediction, I guess?
Well, I'd expect it to be a tough game. I'm definitely hoping that we play better than we did against Orient, or else the best we can hope for is a draw. But in front of the home fans, I don't imagine Ian Everett and the boys will want to embarrass themselves. So I think they'll turn up, and when we play well at home, we are extremely hard to beat. So I'm going to back on us doing that. And if I'm going for a scoreline prediction, I'll go for a 3-1 Bolton win, and just because it always happens, I'm going to predict Wrexham's score to be James McLean, and he'll try to piss off the Bolton fans somehow.
He doesn't need to try too hard, trust me.
I don't know what you've heard about James McLean. He doesn't try and piss off anyone. He's just a very quiet boy that goes about his business on the pitch. Does nothing to incite anything.
Yeah, but the Wigan player in him comes out at Bolton and he can't help himself.
To be fair, I think it's whichever team you're playing against, he is the opposite of that team. He is their rival for that day. He seems to. So it's not just a Wigan thing, I think. But is that a big rivalry then, the Wigan and Bolton?
It's definitely developed over recent years. Obviously, in the past, you'd probably be looking more at Blackburn, or if you're really ambitious Bolton fan, a United, even though they would never really put us in the same sphere. But yeah, just because of how things develop, and Wigan and Bolton have found themselves in the same leagues for a lot of time, it's really started to pick up steam over the past decade or so.
And I kind of have to ask as well, the name of the podcast, Lion of Vienna. What's the inspiration behind that? We've done some digging from our point of view, but yeah, tell us your story on that.
So it's a reference to our greatest ever player and goal scorer, Nat Lofthouse. He had a legendary game for England against Austria. I believe it was against Austria in Vienna. And then because he played so well, I believe the local papers around there refer to him as the Lion, obviously Lion for England, of Vienna. So yeah, and the name just carried over to England somehow.
Yeah, and then you decided to take it and steal it for a podcast. Absolutely nicely done.
To be fair, we've got an executive suite as well with the same name.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe there you go, Andy. If you're going the game, you can check out the executive suite as well.
Lion of Vienna, yeah, okay.
Yeah, want to see
why
pictures.
don't we
on
have
that?
an executive suite? Where's the Fearless and Devotion?
Andy's so underwhelmed by that, Andy. Lion of Vienna, okay. I mean, it's pretty impressive. Just a quick one for me, James, before we let you go. We've just had our highest home attendance since 1980. I think we've got like 13 and a bit thousand in, because that's all we can hold at the moment. But we keep sort of plonking on more seats on the temporary cop. My understanding is the Bolton game is almost likely to be a sellout. What's the capacity, and how often do you get those sort of capacity crowds? And just trying to get an idea of the magnitude of the occasion, really.
Well, I believe the maximum that the stadium can hold is 28,000, although I think we've only come within like 1,000 of that once or twice over our entire history. But especially in more recent years, with how well the ownership has been handling everything. Everything really since they've taken over in 2019. You're starting to see a lot more season tickets being sold, more individual ticket on the day tickets being sold for games, and more and more often, especially for big sellout games or family day games, we're starting to hit past 22,000 more often. Our average attendance over seasons has been steadily rising practically every year since they've taken over. So yeah, I'd expect this game, with the atmosphere around it, obviously with all the hype from the show, and just everything, it being the first home game of the season, I expect it to hit past 25,000 for the day, especially if Wrexham have sold out their extra allocation that I believe they've been afforded a couple of days ago.
Yeah, it's all sold. So wherever that is, 3,500, I think.
Yeah, so we're definitely looking towards 25,000, and I'd expect our average for attendance for this season to be around 21 to 22,000. So majority filled stadiums.
Classic. We'll all call it the Reebok. I'm always going to refer to it as the Reebok. So not the tough sheet stage.
It's a silly name, but apparently it's a really valuable deal, so we'll put up with it. But yeah, any true Bolton fan knows that it's the Reebok for life, no matter what happens.
Lovely. Any more lads, or are we happy to let?
That was cracking.
Well, should we do predictions?
Oh yeah, do that one. Do the prediction before we go. James, what you said 3-1, didn't you? I think.
Yep, yeah, 3-1.
I'd be delighted with a draw. Absolutely made up. I think he's going to go a bit more defensive than Saturday. I think he'll tighten things up. It'll be a proper Phil Parkinson masterclass in shithousing. Never mind the flair that James thinks we have now. This is going to be a proper scrapping one, and I reckon one each.
Ooh, and he's gone for war of attrition. Rhys?
I'm going to say a 1-0 loss.
Oh, he's back, isn't he? You can tell he's back. There he is. Fountain of all.
Bolton finished 4th in League One last year. We're newbies. Our first away game. Any point would be superb. I would bite your hand off for it.
Welcome back, Rhys. Andrew?
Thank you.
My default, as I said last week, is always 3-0, but I'm going to go 2-2. A scrappy 2-2 draw, a last-minute goal. Again, maybe Ollie Palmer's bellend comes into it.
You're going to
I'm going to keep calling it till it happens. It's going to happen one game. Don't know why I'm trying to manifest that, but yeah.
I'm going to go 1-0 McLean 89th. I'm
Come
just
on,
going to say
man.
that. He's going to give
I don't want to be sad.
He'll pull his Wrexham shirt up and there'll be like a Wigan, Matchball Wigan shirt from previous seasons, something daft like that. Or Latics for life or something. He'll put up something in the shirt. But yeah, interesting. It's going to be a great day.
Can't wait. This is why we're back in League One. This is a sort of. This is why I'm going a day early. I want to breathe all this in.
No, you're going for a piss up. You're going for a piss up in Bolton. That's why you're going a day early.
Wild.
Yeah, okay, there is that. Yeah, but come on, this is why we're so happy to be back in League One. This Birmingham, even Peterborough, I'm happy about. I mean, I went to Eastleigh so many times. Let me enjoy this. I don't even care if I get my ass handed to me. I just want to go there and experience a match like this.
Andrew Gilpin, the Peterborough Tourist Board, said, even Peterborough, I'm happy about. What a ringing endorsement.
Well, Peterborough has been voted the worst town in Britain. So
really,
is it?
What? Yeah.
Is it not a city? Does it not have a cathedral?
I don't know.
You backed that up with some fire or bullshit. I can't decide.
I that definitely has happened. I don't know if it's worst place, worst town, worst city.
Yeah, it's a city.
It still contains Darren Ferguson, so
yeah.
It was ranked as the second worst place to live in England last year.
Dude.
What was the first? Bolton?
Hull?
No.
James doesn't know he doesn't live there, so he's exempt.
Right, yeah, at one point I know it was like Hull because there was my mates went to uni and like they lived in the worst postcode in the country for like crime and damages, and that was in Hull. But that's going back many a moon.
Okay,
city culture or was
maybe next season.
Luton was number 1.
Oh,
really?
Oh, yeah. Well, I concur. I went there too many times. Right. I think
James, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, James, apart from Sunday, have a very good season. Hopefully Sunday it goes completely tits up for you. But yeah, thanks for giving it your time to come and join us. Absolute pleasure, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I agree, but in the other direction. I want to ruin your trip.
Cheers,
Have
mate.
a good one, James. Take care, mate.
See ya.
Right, should we just finish on talking about Tuesday night? Just because.
Well, I was going to maybe touch on Thursday with obviously you and Tim and Liam the night in the Mice win.
I don't like talking about any minor successes we have, but thank you for everyone who came, because it was a sellout. There was standing room only. The guests were brilliant. Thanks.
Standing ovation.
No, but I didn't want one.
Sit down, everyone. Get down.
No, hold that applause. I don't want it.
Andrew Gilpin at hotmail.com also knocked over an ice bucket.
Oh, you dick.
I don't know what it was. It was and he knocked it all over my bag. So thanks for that.
And you were allowed back at Mice Gwyn on the Saturday as well. If I'd have known that, you weren't coming in, mate. That's it. Liability.
Well, as long as he didn't display his private correspondence to the audience, then that's fine.
He was full of dynamism.
Display his private what? All right. Can I just thank the guests? Mark McGregor, great. Robin Gibson, Lee Jones talked so well, and so Andy Hunt was just funny, and Humphrey is Humphrey. Now we're trying to get the Humphrey Ker footage so we can share it with you next week, because it's really good. Because what we do is Humphrey Ker question roulette, where he picks a number and we ask what the question is, no matter if it's hard, soft, silly. There were a lot of silly ones, or really hard hitting. So yeah, I think it worked really well. Humphrey was as charming as ever. Nearly gave us the transfer goss. He did say that 2 were coming in though, so yeah.
Just on that, I want to give specific thanks to Lee Jones, because obviously Arthur Massey is his granddad. So for all we would have known, maybe he knew something was up before then. We're just speculating now, which we don't want to do. But I just want to say that maybe he had things on his mind, but to his credit, he still came down. He still spoke really well. So thanks to Lee for that.
Yeah. Second that. Right, let's talk about Sheffield United.
Yeah, Tuesday, Sheffield United.
Do they still hate us?
We did.
Sorry?
Do we hate them as much as we did?
No, I don't hate them.
They definitely still hate us, judging by online, which is incredibly representative.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, I loved All at Needle at the time, and
it was brilliant.
With obviously Billy Sharp, and we made him like a tosser on the documentary, which is great. And obviously Heckingbottom's gone now. They absolutely stunk the Premier League out, which was great to see.
Getting those digs in, Tim. Get those digs in. Don't hold back.
They even any self-respecting Sheffield United fan will say they stunk the Premier League out. I mean, the facts speak for themselves. That it's just terrible. But very different dynamic, for want of that word, is these days. We've closed the gap to 1 division. I will be amazed if he keeps the same squad. I think there'll be several changes. The depth is there. I don't think there's that much emphasis on it, really. We've got bigger fish to fry again. It's a great test. And this comes back down to squad depth, doesn't it? All comes back down to it. Are we going to see Rathbone? Do you want to know what the fee was, by the way?
Go on.
I've been told that it was 375. So just top
1,000.
Ollie's, yes.
Quid.
Yeah, quid. 375 quid. That's what I've been
Interesting.
By a few people who are far more in the know than me. But either way, we knew it's going to be there or thereabouts, because obviously Ollie's was 300, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, but like you said, it's box to box midfielder, which is exactly what we need.
What about this Michael Smith chap?
Scored today. Scored
for Sheffield Wednesday today, didn't he?
He's very much the same as Palmer, and my only thing was I thought Parky was trying to change the way that we played up front a little bit, have Mullin and a real grafter next to him, and I thought that's what he was trying to do with Luke Armstrong, rather than just the big man. I mean, now Ollie is more than a big man because his touch is brilliant, but he's still not the most mobile of forwards, and neither does Michael Smith look like he's the most mobile. So he would be more of a sort of standing focal point. But maybe Parky thinks, look, I've got quick wing backs now. I've got a midfield that hustles and bustles. Maybe we can afford to have like more of a sort of traditional centre forward up front with feeding Mullin. So maybe that's what he thinks will happen. But Michael Smith comes in, he's a starter. You worry for Ollie if he comes in.
What about Cardamassery as well? He was mentioned, wasn't he?
I think that's a freebie. That's a free hit just because he won't count towards the squad. So if you can get him, it allows you to make sure Waters and even Dolby go out on loan. But yeah, I think that's more of a free hit. A young player who won't demand to play every match, but will want to be involved and will offer something different and pacey off the bench. Yeah, I'd like that as well. Don't want much.
So you're getting greedy, mate. Getting greedy.
But both from Sheffield Wednesday, is that even a possibility? You take 2 players from Sheffield Wednesday?
Imagine having players for Sheffield Wednesday in the squad before a game against Sheffield United. That adds a nice little bit.
That'd be prime shithousery, to be fair. I'd very much be on board with that. But I'm sure I saw with the Cadamartri one, it was a case of Wednesday. They're prepared to let him go out on loan, but they wanted to get somebody in first. So yeah, we're definitely not going to be getting the 2 of them, him and Michael Smith. But maybe something. But then again, you look at it always comes back to how long is Mullin actually going to be out for? Because I thought the forwards that were involved at the weekend, none of them embarrassed themselves. All had good games. Dolby did okay when he came on. Obviously, Stephen Fletcher. I was saying to the lad next to me about just how graceful he is with the ball, how smooth he moves with it.
He knew what he was going to do. He knew as soon as that ball came to him, he knew what he was going to do with it, and he didn't have a second thing. He just I'm going to caress it in there.
It's just that quality. It's like I'd said this like 30 seconds before he scored, and it's like there we are. It was just such a cool, calm finish. So I don't know. I'm one of those where I'm not falling over myself to be like, we really need a striker. If we got one in, great. If we don't, I'm okay. I'm okay. But again, it comes back to how long Moles is out for. If Moles is out to the new year, then we need to pull our finger out and do something. If Moles is going to be back by the end of September, middle of September, October, then I think we've got enough to get by. I
think he'll be back by the end of this month easily.
Yeah, exactly. In that case, I think there's no rush, and it's almost like Jack Marriott. It's like, oh yeah, this is a guy that played Championship and League One for many, many seasons, scoring lots of good goals, and it's like there's a very good player there. It's just hard to show that when you're coming in for bits and bobs as basically cover towards the end of last season. So I'm fine with the striker department where we are, but yeah. I think that's kind of covered everything. I know Andy's got to scoot off to go and do another podcast.
Predictions for Tuesday, though. Predictions for Tuesday.
I think it will be a bit of a damp squib, to be honest. I think we'll lose 2-0.
Rhys.
How come I'm the only one who gets chipped when I predict a loss?
Well, we kind of expect it from you.
Okay,
it's just abject disappointment when Andy says we're going to lose.
Just speechless. Yeah, it's a tough place to go. They're still a quality side, and who knows? They've not had much to cheer about, and they're obsessed with us, so they're going to want to win, I think. So, let's give it to them 2-0.
I'll always kind of try and go with like not a Wrexham loss, but it's one of those games where I don't think anybody's too arsed about it, to be honest. I'll be interested to see like the numbers of away fans that go. Would it be a Tuesday night at the start of the season? It's like it's that start of the season, so there's the anticipation, the excitement, but also it's Sheffield United where we know we're going to be playing a rotated squad, you'd imagine. So I'm going to go. It's a long-winded way of saying it's a 2-1 loss, and no one's going to care.
It's a pain in the ass to get to. That said, if anybody's got a spare car space, please get in touch because I would love to go. I'm not going to bus again. That was a disaster. I'm not.
Stick Tim in your boot. Stick Tim in your boot. It's fine.
In your boot. I'll bring my own sandwiches. I'm quite happy to sort of little flashlight in the boot. No dramas. I think we'll lose on penalties. If it goes to penalties, isn't it? That will happen again, similar to what happened with Bradford last year. So, I think it is a tough ask, especially with the amount of changes that there'll be on both sides. But I'd much rather not win on Tuesday and get something out of Sunday's game, obviously.
So would I.
Yeah.
Let's not be too greedy. A sort of admirable defeat on penalties, with nobody missing as such. Just one of their keep it all. They'll save one of ours. Job done.
Right. I think that's it.
Yeah, newsletter. There's the newsletter.
Sign up for the newsletter, please do. Please do keep me in M&S food from that from that M&S food hall that may or may not be in that Bolton retail park.
Yeah.
Put money in Andy and Bolton Pete's pockets ahead of their 24 hours in Bolton next week, which will feature in the newsletter the following week, no doubt.
Yeah.
I think we need like a video. This needs to be documented on this, just like
it's like Travel Man. Me and Joey Faisal do Travel Man in Bolton. Yeah, okay. Right, here we are at Nando's. Here we are in jail. Yeah,
that's quite the extreme from Nando's to jail. Like, what have you done to that chicken to get to jail from
right,
that?
I've got to go.
He's gonna go. Right. Yeah.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Andy's gone and stabbed somebody with the hand with like the little little sort of wooden thing.
Yeah.
And again, before we go, of course, this podcast brought to you by the fantastic folks at Fat Boy. You can get all your food and drink needs. Should probably throw in 2 weeks of the Reading game. My Squin guest Glenn Little. Still some tickets left for that under the Fat Ball group. So yeah, that's it. We're done. Rhys, it's good to have you back.
Yes, I'm back.
As you're waving goodbye.
You're getting 3 months.
I'm back sporadically. I bought time tonight away from with babies are hard.
You've replaced the dartboard with like loads of pictures in the background, so everything's changed.
Right, come on, let's end this.
Yes, right. It's been fun. We'll catch you all again next week. For Rhys, Randy Gilpin, from Tim, myself, Andrew Ballard. Be well, be good. Come on the town.